What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Usually when we talk about this PlayStation and Xbox thing, I keep seeing this conversation of people saying that developer after developer are coming out railing against the Series S. In fact, in one of the more recent comments on my video, somebody said Xbox is in a precarious position. Their main console is the S, but developer after developer has come out against the S. FromSoft, Remedy, Rocksteady, and giving Sony free exclusives like Black Myth and Baldur's Gate. This is all a lie. It's a lie simply because FromSoft has released its last few games. We haven't heard any problems about those games. In fact, some of those games, including the highest selling Elden Ring and GOTY, actually came out on a PS4. Yes, it had some challenges in terms of optimization, but that's usually the case where the developer themselves have probably not been able to get their game solidified before they had to launch. Remedy, they went exclusive on Epic Games. They decided that they were going to use new technology that is somewhat relegated to high-end and newer GPUs and somehow are complaining about sales. Well, good for them. They decided that they were going to pursue GTX or old GPU pipeline to be able to get their game to more people. So I'm glad you guys got some sense to be able to realize, yikes, business is bigger than that. Rocksteady, on the other hand, their game did not do well. Whether or not the Series S was a thing or not, their game was just not acceptable by the broader audience. It's a shame, but the Series S, if it was even a stronger hardware, could not have saved Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And in this talk about Black Myth and Baldur's Gate, we already know that the developers at Game Science said, we just don't have the game at the quality we want for the Xbox. And when the creative director was actually asked about why Baldur's Gate was not coming to the Xbox platform, he mentioned that they tried to do console and PC launch together and it almost broke their studio. So ladies and gentlemen, this is actually more of a logistical thing, because if you notice, developers under publishers like EA, Ubisoft, and other big studios do not seem to have this problem. Why? Because they have a pipeline. Something that's very interesting here, because, a lot of people will say this stuff about the Series S, is Callisto Protocol. So there's an interview on Dan Allen Gaming, YouTube channel, where the Callisto Protocol creative director was actually invited to, to do an interview. In this particular interview, this was actually very interesting because I was so surprised, because the creative director talked about, while they were developing the game Callisto Protocol, that something very interesting happened. Within the development time frame of the game, they got the new generation of consoles. In that time, he said, when we got these consoles, the biggest challenge was we knew that we had to go find expertise on people who knew how to use them. And in this case, he was talking about the PlayStation 5 console and talking about the challenges of going to find expertise, spending more money, trying to figure out how to use the console. So this particular problem of not being able to get your game out on all of the different platforms is not new, especially in this generation, to a lot of the small studios. Somewhere, somehow, a lot of these PlayStation loyalists, they somehow count it as the precarious situation that Xbox is in, when they can easily be very honest and just say, the new generation is bringing with it a lot of different challenges where even some developers are not able to deliver, especially the smaller ones. And this usually can affect them. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Callisto Protocol was the game where PlayStation had some of its developers helping the developer. Do you know why? I think it's simply because of what, the creative director, Glenn Schofield, actually said in this interview. How nobody has picked this up and is talking about it is quite shocking to me. Even Dan Allen himself basically categorizes his entire interview to snippets. You don't have to sit there and watch the whole thing. You could just come to 1020 development problems with, the development of the Callisto Protocol, and you're going to see where he basically just comes in and talks about literally nobody knows what's going, it's tough and all that stuff, the PS3 days, and they're talking about the consoles, the PS3 being a nightmare. But he talked about how, it's not necessarily that it's a nightmare, it's just it's hard to find people who have the experience to make you a console port, and this is one of the challenges that they faced. So I am not surprised that Game Science is actually facing a similar challenge as well in bringing its Wukong game to the Xbox, because the Series S is receiving games left and right. It's not an exclusive that's being handed to PlayStation. It's just a scenario where Xbox sold a less expensive console And this is the biggest problem with console. It's always been the biggest problem. If you have a Series S, you're kind of stuck, or you have to wait. And that's what you paid for. You paid $300, and that's the platform that you're getting. If you wanted to be in a position where you didn't wait, you could have converted those $300 and built a gaming PC. And yes, you can build a $300 gaming PC. Some of you will probably laugh and say that's not possible. But before you open up your mouth and make a comment, make sure you type in $300 gaming PC on YouTube before you say something ignorant, because that's how many folk come out on the internet and just type stuff that, they're not really aware of. So if you wanted to be able to bypass the waiting and bypass all of the shenaniganry that is the logistics of game development, then you put yourself in a position and a platform that will probably get you more games. And crazy enough, the PlayStation 5 is in that position because it only sells one spec in terms of its hardware, with maybe one minor thing that is not going to affect performance. However, that particular paradigm is eventually going to, in some cases, not appeal to everybody. And this is why it's nice to have multiple people who are in the ecosystem providing gaming services or gaming hardware for all kinds of different gamers out there. And honestly, if everybody thinks that waiting for a game is a bad thing, or anybody thinks waiting for a game is a bad thing, then I really don't know what to say, man, because maybe you might have funds and you may have resources that you just spend however you want. But if you wait for a game, sometimes you might be able to get the very best deal out of everything. I mean, it's literally one of those things where, if the game comes out later or it comes out after a while and you have another game that you want to play, you play that game. I mean, you don't have to play Wukong on the release date. Jeez, what has the world become where we want to basically make everybody who's not playing the game look bad or look like they're living in some kind of like underworld or whatnot? Because at the end of the day, I mean, what is so special about playing the game on console anyways? The best place to play is even on PC. So let's not make this thing be about some kind of Series S or whatnot. The gaming industry is just a very interesting place. And I strongly believe that if we will be objective in the way that we actually look at things, get our information right, and look at context, we'll be able to see that this is just all fanboyism and people wanting to play for their team, or they want Xbox out of business. It's not that they look at Xbox as being in a precarious position. It's them looking at Xbox and going, no, we don't want Xbox in this space because we want to feel good that the $500 box that we bought is better than the other $500 box. It's quite weird, man. And honestly, I'm going to continue to rail at the hypocrisy and the lies and the misinformation and misdirection, because it's necessary that we are aware and customers are well informed as to what's going on. I mean, just recently, the Phantom Blade fake developers, the fake developers, or I'll call them Phantom devs, because that was not the Phantom, Blade developers, but the Phantom Blade developers themselves had to come out and squash a lie that was actually put out with their studio's name. This is insane. People are spreading lies just so that they can make Xbox look bad. I mean, it was so weird because I was like, what? What are we looking at here? But I think there's a conspiracy. Maybe some people may be part of it. Maybe they may not know that they've been fooled by it. But it's one that some of us are paying attention to. And I think just looking at how flimsy it is kind of like, in my opinion, the humor of the century, if I may say. Or the humor of the gaming generation, I guess, every 3 or 4 years or whatever the heck that is. Thanks for watching the video. Appreciate you guys so much. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.